for descriptions, was painted by Sesshu in his 77th year. Shingen. The doctrines and practices of this sect of Buddhism were brought from China to Japan in the 9th century by Kukai, or Kobo Daishi, as he is more popularly known. Shingen discipline and practice revolve around three meditational devices: the mandala, the mantra, and the mudra. See also, Tantric Buddhism. Quote, Shibogenzo Zumunki, a collection of instructional talks and comments by Japanese Zen master Dogen, recorded by his disciple successor, Ejo. Shōyo Roku. Ch. Sung Yung Lu. Record of Great Serenity. A book of 100 koans. Compiled by Hengqi Cheng Chui, a Chinese Soto Zen master of repute. The title is derived from the name of Wanshi's hermitage, Shōyo in Shushogi, a classification of Dogen's Shibogenzo according to the doctrines of the Soto sect, made by Aochi Seirin, a Japanese priest scholar, during the Meiji era. Sitting. A mobile zazen. 6 realms of existence. In ascending scale these are the realms of hell, pretas, beasts, asuras, human beings, and devas. All creatures in these realms are tied to the ceaseless round of birth and death. That is, to the law of causation, according to which existence on any one of these planes is determined by antecedent actions. In Buddhism these planes are depicted as the spokes or segments of the wheel of life. This wheel is set in motion by actions stemming from our basic ignorance of the true nature of existence and by karmic propensities from an incalculable past, and kept revolving by our craving for the pleasures of cycles of birth, deaths, and rebirths to which we remain bound. The 6 realms are the worlds of the unenlightened. Buddhism also speaks of 4 realms of enlightened existence, sometimes called the 4 holy states. In ascending order these are the worlds of Sravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and full Buddhas. A Sravaka is one who hears the teaching of the Buddha and accepts it into one's heart, thereby attaining enlightenment. Pratyeka Buddhas are those who carry on solitary practice and reach enlightenment without a teacher. Finally, at the highest 2 levels of enlightened existence are bodhisattvas and full Buddhas. Unlike those in the lower 6 realms, the enlightened know the joy of inward peace and creative freedom because, having overcome their ignorance and delusion through knowledge, they are freed from enslavement to karmic propensities arising from past delusive actions, and no longer sow seeds which will bear fruit in the form of new karmic bondage. Enlightenment, however, does not suspend the law of cause and effect. When enlightened people cut themselves they bleed, when they eat bad food their stomachs ache. They too cannot escape the consequences of their actions. The difference is that because they accept, that is, see into their karma they are no longer bound by it, but move freely within it. Sojiji. One of the 2 head temples of the Japanese Soto sect, founded by Zen Master Kaizen in 1321. It is presently located near Yokohama. Soto sect. One of the 2 dominant Zen sects in Japan, the other being the Rinzai. There are several theories as to the origin of the name Soto. One is that it stems from the first character in the names of 2 masters in China, Tozan Ryokai and Sozan Honjaku. Another theory is that the So refers to the 6th patriarch, who was also known in Japan as Soke Ino. The Japanese Soto sect venerates Dogen as its founder. Eiheiji, one of its 2 headquarters temples, in Fukui Prefecture, was founded by Dogen in 1243. It presently consists of a mammoth complex of buildings on the site of what was once Dogen's small mountain temple, long since destroyed by fire. In the number of its monasteries, sub-temples, and adherents the Soto sect greatly exceeds the Rinzai in Japan. Student. As used in this book, the term refers to one training in Zen and not one studying Zen academically. Substance. As used in this book, the word has the meaning of real nature, or essence. It ought not to be thought of as matter, however infinitesimal. Suringama Sutra. This profound writing, originally in Sanskrit, is widely venerated in all the Mahayana Buddhist countries. Among other things, the sutra deals at length with the successive steps for the attainment of supreme enlightenment. Sutras. Literally, a thread on which jewels are strung. The sutras are the Buddhist scriptures, that is, the purported dialogues and sermons of Shakyamuni Buddha. There are said to be over 10,000, only a fraction of which have been translated into English. The so-called Hinayana were originally recorded in Pali, the Mahayana in Sanskrit. Most Buddhist sects are founded upon one particular sutra from which they derive their authority. The Tendai and the Nichiren from the Lotus Sutra, the Kogon sect from the Kogon Kyo, etc. Zen, however, is associated with no one sutra, and this gives the masters freedom to use the scriptures as and when they see fit or to ignore them entirely. In fact, their attitude toward them is not unlike that of skilled physicians toward drugs. They may prescribe one or more for a particular illness, or they may prescribe none. The familiar statement that Zen is a special transmission outside the scriptures, with no dependence upon words and letters, only means that for the Zen sect truth must be directly grasped and not taken on the authority of even the sutras, much less sought in lifeless intellectual formulas or concepts. Still, most Japanese masters do not frown on sutra reading after a disciple has attained kensho if it acts as a spur to full enlightenment. Taihei-ji, a temple formerly occupied by Yasutani Roshi. Taji Roshi. See Genki Taji Roshi. Quote, Takuhatsu. Literally, holding the bowl. Religious mendicancy. There are many forms of takuhatsu, but Zen monks training in a monastery usually do it in a group of 10 or 15. As they walk through the streets of a town in single file, they chant, Ho, that is, Dharma. Believers and sympathizers, hearing their cry, offer them sustenance in the form of either money, which they place in their wooden bowls, or uncooked rice, which the monks receive in a cloth bag carried for this purpose. Recipient and donor then bow to each other in mutual gratitude, humility, and respect. The idea behind takuhatsu is that the monks, who are the guardians of the Dharma, offer it to the public in the example of their own lives, and in return are sustained by believers in the truth of the Dharma. Tan. A wooden platform covered with straw matting, about 3 feet high and 6.5 feet deep, built along the wall of the zendo. By day it is used for zazen and at night for sleeping. Tanden. A Japanese word for the Chinese tantian, which literally translates as cinnabar field. Often used interchangeably with hara, tanden actually refers to a more precise point of concentration within the hara region. A point located within the lower belly, roughly 2 fingers width below the navel. Tanka. A Zen master of the Tianj era and a disciple of Ma Su. The episode of his demolishing a wooden statue of the Buddha and using it as firewood is widely quoted and often misunderstood. Tantric Buddhism. The Buddhist Tantra consist of sutras of a so-called mystical nature which endeavor to teach the inner relationship of the external world and the world of spirit, of the identity of mind and the universe. Among the devices employed in tantric meditational practices are the following. 1. Mandala. This word has the meaning of circle, assemblage, picture. There are various kinds of mandala, but the commonest in esoteric Buddhism are of 2 types. A composite picture graphically portraying different classes of demons, deities, Buddhas, and bodhisattvas, representing various powers, forces, and activities. within symbolic squares and circles, in the center of which is a figure of the Buddha Vairocana, the Great Illuminator, and a diagrammatic representation wherein certain sacred Sanskrit letters are substituted for figures. 2. Mantra. These sacred sounds, such as Om, for example, are transmitted from master to disciple at the time of initiation. When the disciple's mind is properly attuned, the inner vibrations of this word symbol together with its associations in the consciousness of the initiate are said to open her or his mind to higher dimensions. 3. Mudra. These are physical gestures, especially symbolical hand movements, which are performed to help evoke certain states of mind parallel to those of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Tathagata. The appellation the Buddha used in referring to himself. It literally means one, thus come, thus, indicating the enlightened state. Tathagata can therefore be rendered as, thus enlightened I come, and would apply equally to Buddhas other than Shakyamuni. Temple. Either a temple or a monastery is indicated by the Japanese suffix ji. The alternative reading of the character for terra. It may be a complex of buildings, consisting of the main hall, the lecture hall, the founder's room, and living quarters within a compound entered through a massive tower gateway, or it may be merely a small solitary structure. If the temple has attached to it a sodo, sometimes called a semen dojo, that is, a special training place for monks under the direction of a roshi, the English word monastery would be applicable. Zen alone of all the Buddhist sects maintains a bona fide monastic system, organized on the basic principles and regulations laid down by Hyakujo in China in the 8th century. Simplicity and frugality distinguish this monastic life. The object of the training is not only awakening and its concomitant, self-knowledge, but also the cultivation of self-control and fortitude, humility and gratitude. In other words, a strong moral character. The chief monastery disciplines are daily zazen and periodic session, manual labor, and takuhatsu. In the Zen sect, novices must spend an average of 3 years in a Zen monastery before they can become eligible to serve as a temple priest. Monastery sessions are widely attended by laypeople, who often outnumber the monks. Under special circumstances and for varying lengths of time, they are permitted to live in the monastery as monastics. Tendai. The Japanese Tendai sect starts with Saiko, posthumously known as Dengyo Daishi, who brought the teachings from China in 805. The Tendai doctrines and practices are based chiefly on the Lotus Sutra and the division of the Buddha's doctrines into 8 teachings and 5 periods as laid down by Chi, the Chinese founder. 10 directions. This includes the whole cosmos. Besides worlds north, south, east, and west and the 4 intermediate points, it encompasses zenith and nadir, thus making 10 points of reference in all. 10 evil deeds. 1. Killing. 2. Stealing. 3. Committing adultery. 4. Lying. 5. Using immoral language. 6. Gossiping. 7. Slandering. 8. Coveting. 9. Giving vent to anger. 10. Holding wrong views. See also, 5 deadly sins. Quote. 3 evil paths. The realms of hell, hungry ghosts, and beasts. In other words, the subhuman world. 3 treasures or jewels. The foundation of Buddhism is the 3 treasures, without trust in which and reverence for there can be no Buddhist religious life. In the Mahayana these are conceived broadly as 1. The unified 3 treasures. J. Itai Sambo. Literally, 1 body, 3 treasures. 2. The manifested 3 treasures, and 3. The abiding 3 treasures. For convenience of exposition these are subdivided, though in reality they are inseparable. Thus the unified 3 treasures are the Buddha Vairocana, representing the realization of the world of emptiness, of Buddha nature, of unconditioned equality. Second, the Dharma, that is, the law of beginningless and endless becoming, to which all phenomena are subject according to causes and conditions. And third, the harmonious fusion of the preceding two, which constitutes total reality as experienced by the enlightened. The first of the manifested three treasures is the historic Buddha Shakyamuni, who through his perfect enlightenment realized in himself the truth of the Itai Sambo. The second is the Dharma, which comprises the spoken words and sermons of Shakyamuni Buddha, wherein he elucidated the significance of the Itai Sambo and the way to its realization. The third includes the immediate disciples of the Buddha Shakyamuni and other followers of his day who heard, believed, and made real in their own bodies the Itai Sambo that he taught. Of the abiding three treasures, the first is the iconography of Buddhas which have come down